Now that's cold-blooded.
Right, we're going to cover off a number of charts. I'm going to collect clout on the thought process from last week. I've already collected the financial clout from Doge, so I don't have to worry too much about that side of thing. And then we'll take a look at the majors and discuss the kind of the next move. All right, so let's start off with BTC, which has been relatively tired this weekend, not really done a huge amount, kind of hanging around this region here. I think BTC's still in a really good position. The next move is kind of the awkward one. So let's set the scene overall first from a macro perspective. I want to be as clear as possible in my thoughts on the overall picture of where I see price going, what I think is going to happen next. And then we can dive into kind of more of the lower time frame thought process. I think that and I'll use ETH as the example for this because I think it's a better thought process here. I think something like this is the play. Right? This is what I think the next move will be. The only thing that I don't know is whether or not this move happens from up here or whether or not it happens off this leg here. Right? I think we either get the next little leg up, which is going to take us to the 1700s, and then we correct, or we're going to correct on the back of this level back down here to the 1400s. Once that correction is done, I think that we'll head to fresh highs. Right? That's the overall where I see the market going. So I don't believe that this rally is done. I don't believe that the kind of the good vibes of price going up are finished. I think that they are still getting warmed up. But I think that we are potentially at an awkward point in terms of this period of price action for what happens next. I don't think the macro bottom is in. So just because I think the price is going to achieve a fresh high through here doesn't necessarily mean that I think the macro low is in. I don't think the macro low is in. Certainly for BTC, I think that the lows still go. However, I do think that we will get a period of extended rally. Why do you believe that? Weekly bull div on BTC. It's a very simple premise. It's a weekly bull div on BTC. We see them very, very infrequently. When we start to get them, right, we discussed this, I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago on a Sunday, we discussed the weekly div in quite a lot of detail. And we spoke about the fact that when the weekly div is building, you get chopped and stopped out a lot. And when the weekly div starts to play out, loads of people either can't see the fact it's playing out, they fail to spot the momentum shift, they start shorting, they ignore it completely, right? But the higher time frame picture is the best looking picture it has been on BTC in a significant period of time. So we are no longer in a situation where the higher time frame is like meh, right? It's not really doing anything. We now have significant support from the higher time frame that shows that we can potentially push a lot harder here. I think that's probably a very strong rally, and then I think that we resume probably in terms of macro down. I don't think it's a weekly div because the first leg isn't a div. I think it's a weekly div. I've been talking about it about, I don't know, 2 fucking months. I think it's a weekly div. And I'll play it as such. When it comes to this interim price action here, I think if you look at the 4-hour picture, I think this is probably the most kind of interesting picture that we have right now is we can see the drop-off in momentum between these highs. Right? This is never a good thing for bulls. So we don't want to have this triple div here. Sorry, I read the chat at the same time. We don't want to have this diverging here. Now, the chances are that we can pull a triple div here, right? So we can pull this. So when I said at the start, I'm not sure if that little squiggle that I drew actually is around the 1700s or whether or not it corrects here. That's because we might get this triple divergence. So we might get this next leg up here. And then I think if we end up doing this, right, then we'll get the correction then hopefully down towards this level down here. And I still think that's absolutely on the cards through this region. So that triple drive, the triple divergence all the way through the highs and then come back down into the 1400s and then this is the low and send it from here would be the ideal play out. I think that there's a pretty good chance of this doing the triple because I think a lot of people are already horny to short and I think they get blown out before the move actually happens. I also think that one more leg up here would probably send the bulls into overdrive. right? The bulls are already absolutely rock hard at this point, right? This sends them into climax, and then we just create the letdown. So I think that this scenario here is kind of the most painful for all sides. I think it drives out bears who are short and who are thinking they're comfy with this region. I think that it then entices the bulls into overconfidence, and then I think that we correct hard off that. And this level would make sense as well from, you know, kind of the highs through here, but also this patch of resistance that we've experienced previously. All right, it's a good zone. So the 1700 is a really good zone in terms of the daily level and the touches that we've had previously here. We've got the RSI div on the 12 hour as well. So forming between these highs here, we've got the RSI divergence, we've got the AO and the RSI divergence here on the 4 hour. So we are starting to see the weakness of the rally. So, you know, if you're looking at hedging open long positions, if you're looking at taking, you know, naked shorts, whatever you want to do, I think that that's the region to do it. I think if you want to try for this region, there's nothing wrong with that because you've got the basis on the 4 hour. So you've got the 4 hour basis here to say that this could be tiring here. I think there's a pretty good shot that it does try and make the extra push though into the 1700s and stop out this region first. The other reason that I think that is because I don't think all of the markets have overextended yet. So if you take a look at something like Sol, and we'll take a look at Sol after, Sol is a market that has not yet extended to the same extent that other markets have. And so ideally, when we get the correction, we would like all markets to be in a state of being overextended. Link also, yeah, Link is another good example. So there are a number of markets that have not yet done that extra push. And I think that we probably get that and then we correct. So ideally, you know, whenever we're looking at these correction opportunities, I think that when the markets are fully aligned, then we have really good basis then for our overall correction. And if we think about, you know, what that means in terms of my overall plan here, what I'm looking at obviously then is the triple divergence on ETH and then the other markets haven't fully extended as well. Will you be buying Link now? Yeah, BNB was late too, just recently caught up. Yeah. Yeah, so there are a number of markets that kind of haven't yet done the full extension. If you take a look at ETH on the daily, for example, you know, we're operating here already in the extremes. So we're already doing this run up to the extremes on ETH. Now, if you take a look at Sol, right, you're still only here. So some of these markets are still quite far behind, and Sol has some really obvious areas to try and attack as well, which is like the 34.25s. So another push up for Sol, along with ETH, obviously creating the triple div. Nice scenario for market-wide correction. Ideally. Me leaving my entries up. Deliberate or not? Actually not deliberate. I would hide every single one of them. But as I've barely been at a PC, it's a little late now. This week, I've had a phenomenal week in terms of trading. I ran another one of the like more aggressive, smaller accounts and went for bigger totals again. So it's been 2 weeks of running, and this week it hit its stride, which I put down to being ill and not wanting to be staring at charts and just allowing those positions to run, which obviously was a huge advantage in these conditions. Do you take any profits from longs? Yes. I have. I've taken some profits from the Sol position. I took some profits off CHZ today, which you can see the entry here. So I took some profits off CHZ because the move is too outrageous to not take profits here. We spoke about this level on stream as well. It's just a very simple support resistance flip in this region around 18 cents. So I took some profits off this, took 25% off this up here. I bought ETH spot after the stream last week. I've already taken some profit off this position here. So yeah, I have taken some profit, but overall I'm still looking at holding on to the majority of these positions still higher. So yeah, I fully closed out Doge. Yeah, Doge is fully done. I couldn't justify holding on to this position any longer. You know, the move was outrageous in terms of, you know, what was grabbed from it. So we're not going to complain about this one at all. I mean, this is the main reason the account grew, right? So yeah, this is the main reason the account spiraled in size this week. So what was your entry signal on Doge? The impulse in this breakout region, basically. So we just had like this huge consolidation region. I think last week on the stream we discussed the reclaim of this level, because I said originally I shorted Doge down here because it looks as though it was breaking down, and then we got the immediate reclaim, and then we just sent. So we actually had a nice region here around 6, and then we had the reclaim here at 5.8. So we had this fake down here, back inside, and then we broke out the top, and then once it broke, it obviously just kept on running. But the main signal here was the weekly bull div, and it's the same reason that I feel so strongly about BTC. There's a weekly bull div down here on Doge between these lows, and it's the same reason why I feel so strongly about BTC's move not being done where we are. Looks like I had the same entry as you on Doge, but I closed the triple hourly div just under the 8s, the 0.007s. Yeah, like, again, I think the important thing is it doesn't really, like, it does matter, because if you take the trade like that, you're always going to feel pissed off if you close a trade early and Doge runs a 2x like it did. I think also a lot of people need to understand, like, what sort of trader they are. A lot of people aren't really conditioned to getting the big moves because they operate on the lower time frames. Therefore, of course, you're always going to be either moved out of your position by the way the market acts on your lower time frames, or you're going to see signals on why you should close the position. So from my perspective, yes, I took the signal from a lower time frame chart, but the basis is there is a weekly bull div here. Right? That is the basis. There is a weekly bull div here. So, it doesn't really matter to me. Once I get an entry like I got, it doesn't matter if there's a triple hourly div. It's not going to shift me out of position because I've got a great entry, plus I know there's a weekly bull div. So I have so much room now in my position. It's a swing position. I'm looking for a higher time frame play out. And I think that the move that Doge put in, I still think that Doge trades higher. I don't think that this is it. I don't think Doge has run its course. But I think for the trade that I established and the impulse and the momentum I was looking for, this is the one I wanted. The other problem is like, so I spoke about how these market conditions have been incredibly bad for me as a trader because they go against how my trades operate. I'm a swing trader. I need directional trades. I need trades that I can hold for a good length of time. And the market conditions have basically just caused round tripping of positions for me pretty much, over the past 3-4 weeks or so. This period of time is very different. This period of time is like I have key directional signals. And so I very much have kind of disagreed with anybody that I see as like taking profit, concerned that the run is over, looking at, hourly divs and being concerned that they're going to round trip. Like, for me, the environment is far different right now than it has been at any other point in probably the last couple of months. From like a swing trader perspective, these are probably the best conditions you could ask for me personally. I have some of the best higher time frame signals. We've got weekly bull divs on BTC. We had a weekly bull div on Doge. You've got ETH holding a higher low from the market structure on the weekly. Like, you've got a load of great signals for an extended period of upside. And so I've kind of been like, I think a lot of people have been conditioned by the way the market has been over the last 4 weeks. And so they're doing things like closing trades early. They're scared about round tripping. Lots of people were talking about like everybody's getting bullish at resistance. Everyone's getting bullish at the top of the range. Like, the conditions had changed. Like, the top of the range looked as though it was going to get fucking pummeled, and it did. Like, you have to be able to spot when the conditions are different if you want to try and elongate your trades, if you want to try and push the trades further and turn them into swings. And it's not a problem like if you can't or you don't want to do that. Like, there is no one perfect way to trade. I prefer swing trading. I prefer taking these periods of time, securing big wins, and then like zoning out and doing very little in the periods of chop. People who trade more aggressively on the lower time frames will be more active during those periods of chop, but they won't be able to capture these same moves. Right, that's all. Does a liquidation volume on BTC below on BTC not concern you? No, not particularly. So yeah, like it's like I kind of get infuriated during these periods of time, like because everyone is so fucking driven on the lower time frames. And like the weekly div, how long have we been speaking about the weekly div? And like people are like, it's in action now, right? It's in movement now. and people are still sitting here discussing whether or not BTC is going to go back down, whether or not, the liquidation volume below is scary. Like, the signal has been there for weeks, and this is how you miss it, right? This is how you miss it, because you overanalyze 5 and 15-minute candles for the next 3 weeks to the point where you've missed the entire move and you're fucked. Like, that's just the way it happens. So, like, I'll talk about this and then we'll go on to looking at a couple of other charts. I circled this, right? I took entry here on ETH spot. This is where I took entry. And as soon as I took entry here, right, one of the first comments that I got was, are you FOMOing into this? Right? And that's absolutely a fine question. And people in the Haven will know that this question kind of triggered me in terms of the way that I responded to this, right? But I was questioned on if this is FOMO. One thing that I want to make very, very clear to people is FOMO is often very, very helpful, because FOMO can very often show you where momentum has changed. So FOMO very often shows you where the market has been very strong and when it's potentially giving you a signal that something has changed. So on the hourly time frame, yes, this looks as though it's a FOMO buy, right? Because I'm buying into this breakout, everything's already extended, but I'm taking entry on it. As soon as you go out to the higher time frames, which is really what I care about, there's very little concern about this being a kind of FOMO buy. So it's all, again, relative to the time frame that you are trading. But the importance of FOMO is identifying when the momentum and the conditions have changed. So since last week, we've been trading pretty aggressively to the upside. We've broken through some key levels. The market's been really strong. The market's given little correction. It's broken out of the ranges, broken through the resistances, and it's provided you with really good opportunity. It's literally time to like 20 IQ the markets. When you're not in position, you have to wait for a pullback, right? Yeah, like, sure. At this point, you do. The other problem is like, does the market give the pullbacks? Does it give the pullbacks we want? Which is also the kind of concern. So when I took this entry, it's like I took it because, number one, I didn't want to be fucking around on the lower time frames to find the perfect entry. And I think I was, I'm probably like $50 off or something here from where we consolidated. But also, like, the market tends to make it very tricky to secure those comfortable re-entry points. And so even now, it's like it's difficult to to kind of determine, yes, we want to enter on a pullback, but what does the ideal pullback look like? This is truly like the sidelined phase of the rally. This is where the rally is kind of heating up, and where you now start to feel as though, like, fuck, this market isn't going to give me a pullback. When's it coming? Link is good. Link is entering this mid-range here. So you want to see Link reclaim this. So a strong close through here, and then Link heads back up to the 9s. Really simple one. Saw the range low down here at the 6s, saw the range highs at the 940s. And so if Link manages to break through mid, then it's just going to push all the way to 940s. It tends to do so very quickly. We've spoken about this multiple times because we spoke about it during this whole region here as well. If Link gets this clean close through here, it takes very little time to start trading up towards that top boundary. This here, it did it in 4 days. This one here did it in about 6 days. So it tends to just go once it gets through this mid-range. Spot ETH, or is there a spot position you won't actively trade? So I've taken some profit off the spot position because I'm like, I think 22% up on the spot position. So I've taken some profit off to accommodate for that, obviously dropping back down. But I don't plan on doing anything else in terms of the positioning on that. I also took all of the allocation of ETH that I wanted at that point in time. There wasn't any like, I'll take some now and add to it later on. It was just like, here's my entry, right? Just give me the ETH and I'll roll with it. So, in terms of like the 1400, it's really just an area that I would like to see hold for the spot position. In terms of like adding more, probably won't. I may take a futures play against it if we look as though we're going to do a good bounce there. But spot allocation is already accounted for. The BBS question was, what leverage do you play with for those long time frame trading? The leverage doesn't really matter. Honestly, the leverage is irrelevant. It doesn't matter at all. It's all about basically the size of the account. So leverage doesn't matter in that regard. What do you think of FTM pump? Halloween, right? Look at this. I grew my account by 33% because of you suggesting I keep an eye on Doge before the pump. Thanks for planting the seed in my mind. Not a problem. What's the Link expectation? I mean, you've either just joined or didn't listen in the last 5 minutes. But breakthrough here and it goes to 950. That's it. how do you deal with oversizing positions on a smaller account? You said you oversized the position because of the conditions. Yes, I did. Yeah, so like I'll post about it tomorrow in terms of, you know, getting the official Clout tweet out there. So the account I did was 7.5, started at 7,500. I'm just refreshing now to see the total we're currently at. So started at 7,500 2 weeks ago. As of right now, the account balance is $148,587.78. So in 2 weeks, we netted 141,000 on that account. So people talk about, you know, like what are the conditions, what are the, you know, what's the leverage, what's the thought process, what's the risk? And so, like, playing into your question about oversizing, it's really important to acknowledge the conditions. And like this last week has been a prime example. When the conditions are good, you risk heavily. You take advantage of leverage, you risk heavily, and you take position. Now that's easy for me to say because I focus on the higher time frames, I focus on momentum switches, I focus on those events happening, right? For a lot of people, they'll be like, well, I didn't see it coming, I didn't know we were going to have big moves, you know, I didn't plan for it, and that's fine, right? My approach is I look for when those switches happen. We try and cover it off here in terms of the momentum changes. We try and cover the, you know, the way the market can move and flip. And when we get those situations, then that's basically when I'm looking at going hard on the account. So when you talk about oversizing smaller account sizes, I'm looking at pushing really hard during those periods of time, right? It's a situation where I think the momentum has switched, and therefore I have a good opportunity to make very good money, relatively low risk for me, but I get to push incredibly hard. So I take my spot buys, right? That's all sorted. Don't have to worry about any leverage on that side. Just sit comfy in my spot buys, and then I push very hard on the alt trades here with a smaller account. So when you have the periods like we've just had over the last week, and, you know, I hope continue, you get them probably once a quarter. Once a quarter, we get these opportunities where the market turns green and it accelerates very aggressively. It does really big moves, and it happens for, you know, I think the last time it probably happened over about a 10-day period, and it was like a mini alt season. Realistically, all you need to do is trade during that period of time and then go silent for the next 3 months. So like the advice is basically when the conditions are good, when the market is telling you that momentum has shifted or that momentum is strong in one direction, then you play into it. You play into it aggressively. The time for sizing up and being aggressive on small accounts isn't during the chop, because that's when you get ruined. It's when the momentum shifts. It's about how quickly you spot the momentum shift and how quickly you submit to it. Lots of people will just try and fight it. Lots of people will try and short it. Lots of people will try and, you know, claim it's a scam. It's not a real pump. It's going to retrace. You're going to round trip. It's about how quickly you can spot the changing conditions and then size appropriately and risk accordingly for taking advantage of it. Yeah, 5% risk, more. Would you still be risking that much if the 7K was a significant amount to you? No. So absolutely not. So like the 7K is like, it doesn't matter if I lose it, right? That's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. So the way that it works is obviously that you have to find out a total that works for you in terms of what you would like to risk and then play according. I just find it's one of the better tactics for me. I think it's the third time that I've run an account from, you know, basically like 4 or 5 figures up to 6, you know, very quickly. And it's for me, it's just it takes the pressure off, number one. And secondly, it's the perfect like accompaniment to my spot plays. And you're still using stops? Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll put all the stats out tomorrow of the trades. But like the trade win percentage is tiny. I think the trade win percentage is maybe 28% ish. Like the win percentage isn't great. The thing is that let me find out now. Okay, yeah, so it's 28% is the win percentage. The average loss is $800, and the average win is $8,500. So like that's kind of what you're dealing with. Is like I'm cutting losers as quickly as possible, and I'm letting the winners roll. What do you think of ApeCoin? I think they're doing a pretty good job of defending $5 so far on ApeCoin. I think they're doing a pretty good job of defending this region here. So I think the higher time frames, you've got a really good retest back into this region here, this sort of cluster up at 515. And you can see that each time on the 4 hour, they've just kind of been like taking the highs. Let's delete this for a second. So you can see they've just been taking the highs through here. Right, highs taken again, highs taken again. And this time we've seen the bigger reaction from it. I still think that Ape is probably one of the better short options of the entire market. The reason that I think Ape is such a good candidate to be a short market is because given the case they've got currently going on against them, being investigated based on the assets, the demand should naturally be lower for Ape than it is for any other market. And so whilst Ape has still rallied from the lows, and it's still rallied like over 20% from the lows, it should naturally have less demand because there is that kind of, grey cloud over them. So I still think it's a very attractive short side market. We should degen trading focus on the 15-minute time frame now. No, mainly the higher time frame. Like I said, it was the momentum shift. So it was getting into position, then holding the position. So basically finding the entry, and as long as we got the impulse, which we did because everything took off, then just holding on. Do you use market profile and TPO? No. Might be a brain look question, but how do you systematically identify if a trade won't go your way versus feeling like you're overthinking? It depends on your system, I guess. Like your system should have pretty clear-cut indicators of when the trade is going against you. Like market structure is probably one of the easiest ones. If you're long in an uptrend and it breaks the uptrend, then you've got a pretty clear signal of when you're wrong. So I guess making sure that your system has some clear definition on, what is the trade not going your way. Atom. Yeah, Atom's relatively interesting, actually. I think breaking back through here is really good for Atom, actually. So breaking back through the 1330s, really good setup. Very similar to Sol in terms of, I think this has more juice. Good breakout the consolidation cluster here as well. And so I think Atom is actually in pretty decent shape. Similar to Sol in terms of RSI not being as overextended as things like ETH. So definitely still has the potential to continue running here. And the 3-day looks great. The 3-day looks so good for Atom through here. Holding on to this 50, pushing away here. And the weekly as well, looking as though it wants to try and give a drive through this region. Atom could really upset people again. Do you like Algo as a World Cup play? Yeah, Algo reacted today on the back of CHZ moving, basically. So I think if Algo breaks back through this daily level, then I think it's pretty good. Again, RSI in a very similar position to Sol, so one of those kind of laggards of the market, but breaking back through this 30, let's call it 37, right, the top side here. So breaking through 37 I think would be important for Algo, and then potentially sets up really nicely. The reason that I originally started as a scalper was because I had a very similar kind of mindset to that. I wanted very quick gratification on trades. So basically I wanted to make sure that my trades were profitable almost immediately, and that is the way that kind of I would get my positive feelings about trade. So scalping was the perfect kind of mentality fit for me, in that I would have very quick wins, very quick losses. Like I was just operating very quick in the market. So maybe that's just like the way you're hardwired, right? There's not a problem with that. I think lots of people that also come from like gaming backgrounds tend to be more fixated on the quick wins, making sure that trades are green quickly. It's not necessarily a bad thing either. So as in gaming, you mean gambling? No, as in like gaming. Is CH said a good buy now? I'm going to say no to that one. It was a good buy here on the retest. I'm not necessarily sure it's a good buy up here. I think if it comes back down to the 21s here, so ideally this flip takes place now. So we want to see this level just like blocked off. Like don't worry about this now. But if it comes back down to this level here, then that's probably the next opportunity. Yeah, ENS, I saw you talking about this. Let's take a look. I think ENS is like a really awkward one. The 4-hour level through here is good. So I like this region in general. The higher time frames I still think are absolutely fine for ENS. Even the 3-day, like sure, it's an ugly candle, but I think that overall it's still fine. I just think it needs to break through this region here at 1820. So I think if you get the 1820 break, then it looks far better. But I think through this region, you're right in terms of the chop. But higher time frame still, it's still sitting in a fine position. The daily is still fine here, but we are just in a choppy period, and it hasn't obviously moved in line with the rest of the market, but it's also been a lot stronger when the market has had its indecision. The CHC retest structure is the Dream ETH setup. yeah, coming back down for that retest would be
Fucking
wonderful.
hell.
Yeah,
Brands
the
hit me
retest
with a
was
weekly jewel
so
reminder even
good
when I got
on
flu.
CHZ
Good
back
lord.
into this zone here.
Man's
I think
a
we even had
psychopath.
some lower time frame divs on it. Yeah, we got the Owly div down at this low here as well. We've got the nice Owly and the AO div down here. Yeah, and if ETH comes down to the low 1400s and does the same, then obviously we're going to be looking pretty good. I mean, comp is just one of those markets that hasn't moved as well. I mean, there's nothing like inspiring about this, right? It just looks as though it's going to fall out of this, to be honest with you. It just looks as though it's like setting up to break down through here. Reset here bearishly. Just looks as though it's getting ready to fall out. Really doesn't look that inspiring. The same with Aave. It's like basically doing nothing. A lot of the DeFi stuff hasn't, but then a lot of the DeFi stuff moved. Like a lot of the DeFi stuff moved prior. Yeah, what time is futures open now? Is it in 5 minutes? 8 minutes? Yeah, fuck, of course. Okay, yeah. Yeah, shit. I don't know if I can be doing the whole let's degen our points. Fuck. Yeah, we get daily closes at the right time. Finally. Please skip. Quick look at AVAX. Man, do people still trade AVAX? Yeah, again, similar to Sol. Whenever I see like the weekly charts of a lot of these markets, I just think like there's definitely room for more upside here. I'd be so surprised if these markets are cooked after the structure's gone on AVAX is the only downside. So the lower time frame structure here is gone, but then it happened the same here before it took off. 4 hour div between the highs here as well. It's just whether or not you've had your play out. What are we down? 4.5% off the highs. Strong uptrend at the moment as well. So 4.5% could be it. No double confluence in terms of the AO representing the div as well. Just the RSI could be in a similar position to ETH. Another leg up. Not as clean in terms of overall levels. It's just far choppier. Always has been. Like all of this area here. The only thing you've got for certain is like the 1475 area being the range low right now. And then somewhere towards the 2140s probably being your midpoint. Like if you were just to section off AVAX into a few sections here, you know, you got your lows here, probably got your midpoint of the range like here, and then you got your highs up here. Right, so that's like where you would like roughly split the AVAX kind of range here. So, you know, given this rally, we'd still be looking for it to try and get up to here. However, that's going to happen. And then we'll see the reaction from here. What do you think about all the 4 hour divs? Yeah, so I think valid. I think it's, again, like it's an awkward point for the market because I think we're definitely near a point that could be correction territory. I think if you're in longs, if you're in heavy longs around regions like this as well, it's probably an area that you should be a little bit cautious. The other side that we just have to consider is whether or not the markets are strong enough to make a triple. And so if we make the triple div by driving up into the daily resistance area of the 1700s, then maybe push from there. Shit, observe the Nasdaq daily open. Alright, yeah, let me set that up. Let's do a prediction. Alright, I can only run this for 2 minutes. Alright, predictions up. Futures open, first 1 minute candle. Green or red. 2 minutes to vote. We're going for the curse. We're going to hand out the curses. And thank you for the subs as well on the stream. I've completely missed them. I've been trying to manage just holding together speaking. So thank you for the subs. It's appreciated. Despite me not mentioning it up until this point. Oh man, I haven't even looked at the NAS. Oof. Good lord. 12 hour candle. We'll start with the daily. Yow. Look at that. John, you know the rules. Say I don't want to get cursed this week, so I'm sitting out the vote. Nah. If you can vote, but you choose not to, that's auto curse. Auto curse. 4 hour. 1 hour. 15 minute. 5 minute. 1 minute. Whew, Jesus Christ. Man, they really liked it on Friday, huh? Good lord. Shit, we've got like a minute to go. Is time just quicker in general? What's going on here? I gotta like start music and shit. Are we doing all that? Yeah, we're okay, we'll do it. It won't feel right unless I do it. It won't feel right. You started the stream? No, I didn't start the stream later. The fucking clocks have gone back. What do you mean it started the stream later? I didn't even know what the votes were. Yeah, will you play this? Yes. Alright, we're gonna go now. Alright, see you in a minute. And there it is. The end of the bull market. Witnessed here in the first 1 minute candle. We get Lost Woods back on. What did I choose? Red. I mean, look, I knew it was going to be red. The BTC reaction, very obvious. It's always going to lag. Very, very obvious. Man, 32% voted red? Yikes. Man, congratulations, Bears. Enjoy your channel points. Strange that we're still continuing to stream past seeing the futures open. That feels strange. It feels like I shouldn't be here. It feels as though I should be gone. Enjoy that curse. Yeah, unfortunately. Oh shit. We get to see this unfold live now? Oh, this is going to be great, actually. This is going to be great. I'm going to have so much more to talk about for the next 15 minutes every time that we stream. Just because we get to see the curse unfolding live. Question for you. When you have price coming back into retest, what do you typically look for confirmations? Do you play candlesticks or say divs and price pushing away? Yeah, divs and price pushing away is good. So there's never any rush in terms of retests, right? Because the retest is the most awkward point of the trade. So let's say, for example, we don't really care about the fucking NASDAQ too much now. Let's say, for example, I'll just draw this out for you because it would be a little bit easier. Let's say, for example, this is our level and price is up here and it's coming back into this level. In terms of taking an entry, this is our best risk to reward point, right? Because we get to put our stop down here and we get to put our target up here. But it also represents probably the area of the greatest risk because we don't know if this retest is holding at this point here. Okay, so we don't know if this is going to hold. So actually, when we see retests, either we like to see divergences from my perspective, like this, to add some more strength to the fact we're taking a position here, or we like to see price push away a little. So even though that's going to give us a worse entry, it gives us a lot more kind of strength and security in the position in knowing that we've seen a bounce from the level we wanted to. And we get to put our stop loss then underneath the low that's been formed. So I hope that explains it. Didn't you de-risk before FOMC? What do you mean? FOMC is going to be almighty green. I'm legit not closing my longs and just going to accept that I'm cursed and was going to lose either way. We've already looked at Link, friend. We did pretty solid Link analysis actually. FTM? Fuck FTM. What do you mean FTM? No one's buying FTM. Sushi's already run. Sushi's already run. All right, all of you SC fanboys, Sushi's already done its run. You wait for the correction now. All right, you wait for the correction. It's going to come down here. 155s again. Bad high. This is a nasty high. Already run. It's coming back down to the 155s. It's just going to take out this cluster. Yes. Welfare Wombat. I like this a lot. Any thoughts on weed stocks heading into the US election? I like them. Sushi Trade was so crowded. Sushi Trade did exceptionally well. It was an exceptionally strong runner. I just think it's run. I think this is one of those markets that needs to correct. Why FOMC almighty green? Because everyone wants to de-risk into it. And it ain't going to be bad. Yeah, we're approaching resistance on the index. The indexes have run heavily, right? The indexes have run heavily. We know the dollar has sold off as well pretty strongly. So I think in terms of corrections, we're very much in that territory of corrections. How many channel points do you bet on green FOMs? Would you not expect to bounce off the $50? I don't think from this extension. I think actually we're kind of a lot more similar to this area here. I think these are actually quite similar. Right, you get the huge drop off here, get the drop off here. So I think this probably ends up going lower. I think market's correct. And then I think we resume up. Yeah, you're watching Mr. Yen's latest videos. I won't phrase it quite like you did. Yeah, he doesn't expect to last the year. Yeah. I mean, man's been going far longer than doctors ever thought he would anyway. But yeah. Honestly, I'm just happy to see people that that now enjoy Yen's content. Like, I'm really happy to see it. Like, anybody that's started watching Brian, you know, for any lower time frame traders, any people who want like the mentality of scalping and the mentality of taking your profits and like being happy on a day-to-day basis with what you take from the market, like, by far one of the best people who has ever existed to produce that content, like, will make you feel very at peace with taking profit on positions, will make you feel like very level-headed, like isn't trading ridiculous position sizes, isn't putting you in like this false sense of position compared to like CT traders. Like, just a wonderful person to be providing education. And yeah, like, honestly, for lower time frame traders, scalpers, one of the best influences that you could possibly have. And so for everybody to be very aware, Brian is terminally ill, has been for a long time, has continued to trade, has continued to push out content, you know, announced very recently that he thinks it will be less than a year now. So, you know, you have a limited window from which to learn and enjoy from this man. He's deleting his vids. Can we find the archives? I'm pretty sure somebody would have archived them. But you might have to do a bit of digging for that. Yeah, and people obviously welcome to share. Yeah, I haven't looked at Matic since getting stopped out this short. This was fucking Hasaka that did this as well. Well, not technically Hasaka, right, but kind of Hasaka. Because this is when he fucking tweeted about it. Matic looks okay, no divergences because it created the lower high, which is good. This is the position you want to be in. This is a far better consolidation region for a market than creating the higher high and making the div. So it's actually better that Matic creates the lower high here. And really, I guess you're just hoping that Matic continues kind of in this structure here. You know, can keep consolidating within here and then hopefully break to the upside if you're looking for that. And again, current conditions then obviously favoring an upside break. Same with the 12-hour, no div, lower high. That's a good consolidation setup that you want here. Maybe a dip down to the 87s, 86s again, sweep these lows, sweep this area here, push down through there, come back basically to my stop and then rally. I'd really like to see CHZ perform as an outlier here again. It's done very well previously where, you know, BTC have turned red and CHZ continues green. I would really, really like that situation to develop here. It's just this nasty drop in momentum against the second high. That's what BTC has to get through. So in terms of like the overall thoughts, hopes, expectations, dreams of the next rally, they're all based around the reaction of what happens here. So what happens on these divergences? The 12-hour div here and the 4-hour divs. What happens on these playouts? Is this playout a nice aggressive sweep of the lows here and a good recovery and that's it, done? That's what I think. What do you think about Sol when BTC and ETH start correcting? It's going to go down as well. Like, everything's going to go down. Yeah, I think nasty shakeout here and the strong recovery. Yeah, we tend to see during very strong upmarket conditions, right? We tend to see the pullbacks are very aggressive. They tend to just be like quick and fast. So they tend to be like minus 10%, but then by the end of the day, we're only like minus 3%. Like, that tends to be the way that they happen. So ideally, that's what we'd like. Now, I haven't really paid too much attention to APT. It's just back down here at the original range high level. So this is the original breakout region. It's just retesting. Looks to be holding up pretty well so far here, to be honest. It's diverging all the way through the lows, but it has to start moving away. I literally, like, I'd be looking for just some sort of like impulse breakout of this. Like, just give yourself something that's going to give you the impulse breakout. Because right now, this is just a grind fest to the downside. So you really need to see something that impulses away from this region. How large was your Doge position sizing when compared to your complete balance? I think the Doge position size was around 180k. I tend to basically do the same thing when I position for Doge. And that's, you know, this is based on the smaller account. Is I tend to take off money from Doge every single day that it's in profit. And so what I did was I know by, I think like day 3, I think it was already up like 20%. So I reduced the position down to 100,000. And then basically every single day, the profit over 100,000, I would just reduce down to 100,000 again. So if I was at 110,000, I'd take 10,000 off and bring the position down to 100,000 again. And just do that at the end of every single day. Did you play Doge in your main account too? No. The only thing that I've done on my main account is spot. It's spot BTC and spot ETH. That's all. Yeah, so it's aggressive alt trades on the DGen account and spot buys for the portfolio. That's it. Well, the DGen account was like what, 7.5k I put in. So, you know, like let's say we got like 4 or 5 figures that we're putting in the DGen account. My spot buys are 7 figures. So yeah, weekly NQ is worth a look. Yes, weekly NQ looks good, and it also has the potential for the AO div as well. Same on SPX. Both looking really interesting. Dollar also interesting because of the RSI div on the weekly as well. So again, interesting picture on the higher time frames, both indexes and the dollar. Spot buys, so you suddenly think the bottom is in? No. I mean, I don't have to take spot buys on the assumption the bottom is in. I'm just taking spot buys because I didn't want to fuck around with leverage, and I just wanted to ride a position. Yeah, back in spot. BTC spot buys at 19.6 and ETH spot buys at 13.60. RSI settings are default. Haven't bought Sol spot. Sol is a trade. Would you re-enter to buy Doge again on a retrace, or are you moving off from it entirely? Like, I don't want to trade Doge. It's like it would consume too much of my energy. So I'll probably stay away from it. However, if you are going to be at the charts and putting energy into the markets, then I think Doge is one of the best places you can be. RSI settings aren't default. He's a moving average. Yeah. All right. Yeah, like the Doge market is some serious fucking business, right? It is volatile as shit. The moves are huge. The percentage moves are huge. You have to be very careful when operating in this market. Like, even this on the 15-minute starts to look normal, right? Like, this stuff starts to like look like acceptable when you're looking at candles, and you're like, yeah, this is okay. But like, when you start diving into like what percentages this is moving, like, it's ridiculous the amount like the percent this is moving. So when we start looking on candles, we're like, yeah, it looks fine. Like, it's all fine. But actually, like, you know, these 7% rallies in an hour, and then, you know, the sell-offs from here, you know, over the space of 2 hours, falling 50, like, it's very volatile. Great money to be made if you're a proficient day trader and you can move and operate in these markets well. Yeah, contributing too much of your energy. Literally woke up longed, woke up closed, then went short. Yeah, I know. But I mean, like, for some serious trading, that's all. 3 coins to focus on for the next leg: CHZ, Atom, Sol. CHZ on a pullback. Sol, yes, I still think Sol looks fine, and I would say ETH over Atom personally. But what percentage are you cashed right now? Still over 50%. All right, we're gonna do 9 minutes before my body gives out on me. Yeah, Doge. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't deny the fact I think Doge looks good. What point we get 100% in the market, like on true strength, not just like a bear market rally, like on true strength. Sushi puking. Any NFTs you playing in this rally? Yeah, I mean, like, I picked up a couple more penguins. I think that was a good opportunity, so I picked up a couple more penguins. Obviously gobblers tomorrow, and everybody knows I don't want to discuss the project I'm involved with, so that'll be enough. I think doodles as well. I think doodles are a great blue chip option. Gobble 2 shield? I don't think so. I mean, it's gonna be expensive as shit. It's gonna be so expensive. So I dread to think what secondary market's gonna look like tomorrow. Doge looks good. Send this to 0 with haste. CBS is hunting for exit. Yeah, I'm all out. I'm all out, man. I have 0 Doge exposure. 4 ETH, no way. It's double digits easily. PYR to 451. I mean, like, look, I shit on PYR all the time in terms of technicals and in terms of the way the market is right now. It looks very good to the upside. I cannot imagine Gobblers is less than double digits on the secondary. It's also one of those ones that, like, tomorrow, if there's a secondary listing, like, it's just like, I think you just have to kind of pull the trigger and decide, let the market decide whether or not it was a good buy or a bad buy in, 2 months' time. So we'll see how things develop. I think anybody in terms of, like, thinking about, we're getting towards, like, the summary now. So anybody thinking about, whether or not something's a good long at this moment in time, I think consider the fact that BTC and ETH look as though they're about to pull back, right? So, like, if you're asking me if something is a good buy right now, the answer is no, because I think that the major markets are about to pull back. So I would just be a little bit cautious about what you want to buy, and, in the same regard, think about where your long entries are. If your long entries are, like, from far lower down, then you're comfy, right? You're looking for the places that you can add to your position and you can try and push then higher again. Right now, if you're one of those people that's got an entry lower down, what you're doing is you're logging off Twitter, you're letting the next couple of days unfold, you're not getting distracted by all the bears who are going to be celebrating, you're not going to get distracted by all the people who are claiming the top's in, all the people saying I told you so, all the people saying the rally was a scam. You're just logging off and you're forgetting about it. And you come back in 2 days' time, you pick up some more of whatever your favorite altcoin is, and then you ride again. The people who are long from far higher up, you should be more concerned about your entries. Because if this market pulls back in the traditional style of an uptrending market, it will be very aggressive. Stream replay will be available on Twitch. We'll also do a video on YouTube as well, so you can catch either one. Been following the Renko and div strat in your Medium article, but finding that lower time frame divs are kind of rare. Yeah, they are. Renko is slower in producing divs, so it's just patience. Thoughts on Capo? Someone says probably ignoring this comment. Sometimes it's better not to say anything than say bad things. I don't really harbor any bad feelings against anybody on, like, Twitter and anybody that shares their thoughts. I think anybody that puts themselves out there to share thoughts on targets and where they think prices will go, like, that deserves, I think, respect, because to have hundreds of people barking at you in comments, if you're right or wrong, is difficult. In terms of, like, I think someone said earlier he was expecting 14k from here. Like, I disagree with that. That's not where I think price is going to go next. I think price goes higher. So, like, I'm not aligned with Capo in terms of the thought process here. I think that we trade higher. I think that we get a pullback, but then I think that we trade higher. So we shall see. When the 4-hour RSI dives under the 50, pulling back, do you usually wait for a crossover? You can do, or you just wait for or you just look at the higher time frames. How deep of a pullback do you expect? I mean, ETH, I expect the low 1400s. I think the pullback is the sort of pullback that makes everybody start saying that, the top is in, and that, all bulls were wrong, and how stupid everybody got carried away by alt season again. You'll also get the classic tweets where everybody's going to be like, Doge pumped to 2x, how the fuck did you not think the top was in? Like, it's at those sort of moments that I'll probably be looking at adding to long positions. Those tweets are absolutely right. Yeah, maybe they will be. Maybe they will be. Thoughts on Nvidia? Still looking good. I think, like, the one thing that's probably pretty clear at this point in time is, like, the vast majority of people who are calling for, a top to be in or price to go lower are the people who have completely missed this rally. Like, not only missed this rally, but have also shorted this rally the entire way up. So the majority of people who are the loudest at moments like this are also the people that are hurting the most, because they failed to spot the rally. They've seen Doge go a 2x. Like, they've literally had probably the worst trading week. And so they're most excited. Like, the time that really gets them rock hard is when price starts dropping. Because now they're suddenly like, everyone can now be like me. I'm now praying for the downfall because I've had such a bad week. That's the reality of the way the market is right now. The people who want price to sell off, who want price to dip, are those who have made zero money and just lost money all week. The reality. Yeah, lots of people want to buy the dip. Yeah, I mean, yeah. The problem comes is, like, when we have like a series of candles that does this, like, whether or not then you have the nerve to buy the dip.
How low do you think BTC will go? I don't know about BTC. I think BTC is a lot harder than ETH. I think ETH is far cleaner. So I think this 12-hour level should be holding for ETH. I think it's just a far, far cleaner level. Of the 1K people in your chat, what percentage of people do you think are profitable? 5%? If that. Sushi crashing. Yeah, surprise. Yeah, I mean, CHZ is a market that people are going to short because it's green. So, like, this is the other really good point is that CHZ people, like, this is what happens now, okay? The bearish logic becomes, I've lost money all week. I've been waiting for the market to sell off. I knew this whole rally was a scam. So then the bear logs on. They're on TradingView and they're like, fuck yes, it's finally here, the pullback, right? I knew what I'd been saying was right. I knew it was all a scam and it's all coming crashing down. So they quickly go through the watch list and they're like this, shit, what do I short? Okay, yeah, oh shit. CHZ, 11% up on the day, short this, because this is up the most, so it's going to come down the most. So I'm going to short this. That's literally the bear's exact thought process right now. They get onto TradingView, they quickly scroll through this list, and they figure out which do I short. This one. It's the most green on the day. When BTC and ETH are red, I'm gonna short it. That's what they're doing. It's a Sunday night. Why are you describing my mistakes? Because everybody does the same thing, man. Everybody does the same thing. You streaming at 720? Yeah, I swapped. Man, I bought a new laptop a while ago, maybe like 2 months ago, and I never bothered changing my laptops over. And so this week I finally did it. So this is the first stream from the new laptop, but I haven't fully changed all the settings. So, did you do it too? I mean, considering that this is a fucking open long position for CHZ, then how's the art? Great. Yeah, shit, streaming long. Oh fuck, I'm 5 minutes over. All right, we'll do 5 more minutes and then I'll go. To be honest, I feel better for streaming. I feel like it's given me like a focus versus just sitting there thinking about how rough I feel. Mr. Answer, will there be a midweek? Yeah, I assume so. Do you think we'll get a deeper pullback or more shallow to the 1550s? No idea. I would like the deeper one, but again, like we spoke about, it's kind of tricky during uptrending markets on sort of what depth of pullback you get. Do more streams? Not unless I'm paid more. Jeez. Man has flu. Man taking deep drags on the vape. Yeah, doctor told me it was like a flu cure. Said builds up strength in the lungs. Gun to head prediction: when BTC breaks all-time high, 2025. How many subscribers do you need to stream more? Not subs. Not subs. More sponsorship money. I see the bottom is not in yet since there are almost 1,000 people tuning into this. Don't take this the wrong way, you cool. Yeah, to be honest, we've had really good stream numbers. Like, I'm surprised that we kept around this number. We've done really well in terms of people still tuning in, which is great. Is there any chance you would ever do some sort of copy trading service? No. I share my portfolio buys and I shared the kind of the degen account buys in the Haven. But in terms of like a copy trading service, no. When do you see yourself retiring from trading? Like, I think when I moved to swing trading was more of like a step towards retirement. I was done with the scalping, which was the more intensive screen staring, not leaving the office for like 16 hours. But in terms of like retiring from trading, I don't think ever. Like, I'll always look at utilizing my money. I'll always look at the best ways that I can do that. And I'll always look at like the best opportunities for accumulating more. So, you know, when it comes to swing trading, I don't think there'll be a time. As a scalper, were there ever days you found it hard to find a setup? Yeah. Yeah, there were days the market was so flat that there was nothing available. For sure. Why 16 hours? Because when you're scalping, you have to sit and you have to wait for the setups to develop. So it's sitting and waiting. Will you do a group outside of the Haven where you're the only trader? Haven forced us to pay for all 5 traders when only interested in your market thoughts. Yeah, I ran my own group previously. So I previously had my own group. And then moved to the Haven. So obviously zero plans to go back to individual life. So you missed that boat, my friend. Go the Mr. Yen route and die in your chair looking at charts. Yeah. Scalping life, man. Would you say scalping? Would you say the scalping... Whoa, am I reading this right or is this the flow? would you say the scalping use since you have more work is actually... Holy shit, my man, please rephrase. I know that I'm in and out of fever, but good lord, I think that's given me another bout of flu. Problem I have is I sit and I wait for the setup, take my 1 hour and watch it go without me. Well, that's what you do as a scalper, though, right? It's the same process over and over again. So even if you're taking your 1 hour, you're consistent in doing so. So it's like it doesn't really matter about like watching it go without you. You have to understand your boundaries as a scalper, which is the important thing. So don't fret too much on that side of things. Like, just understand whether or not like you don't give yourself enough in terms of... You don't give yourself the full profit potential that you have for a setup would be one area of trying to improve yourself as a scalper. So if you always find that your positions are cut too soon, then work on that. Apart from that, you should, as a scalper, you should be happy in taking those wins consistently. That's your job. Your job as a scalper is to take the same setups over and over again and just make those small returns that keep on compounding. Quick BTC and ETH summary before signing off. I think lower before higher. Would you ever consider taking a few more students for private lessons, more like mentoring? Yeah, I really enjoyed that process. Time constraints have been a lot more difficult now with 2 children. But in the future, potentially, who knows? It could be something I go back to when time frees up, but certainly not as of right now. How many screens do you have for trading? I've got 1 monitor, so 1 screen. Do you think the thousands of hours scalping has transferred well into your swing trading? No. Horribly. Absolutely horrendously. Terribly. You think about it, right? Scalping and swing trading are 2 very different psychological beasts. One requires you to be correct immediately, cut positions quickly, take profit quickly. The other one, you have a far bigger margin for error. You can be underwater for a long period of time. You can wait weeks until the play out of your position. They're so different. And so, the thousands of hours scalping absolutely hindered my movement into swing trading, where I had to unlearn all of the kind of psychological triggers and emotions that come with that in order to, kind of sit back on trade. Okay, sorry, I tried to edit it and went redacted. Okay. Would you say it is easier to be a scalper? The trade-off would be that you do more intense grinding or work hours. Now, it's easier to be a swing trader. It's far easier to be a swing trader. I think people find the attraction of trading and scalping. I don't know, it's always the funny thing, right? It's always like the grass is greener kind of thing that comes into effect with trading. I think it's like scalping always looks cool because you can log on and make money any time of the day. That's what it looks like. And then the swing trading always looks great during bull markets or areas that we have really strong moves, like the Doge position and being able to 2x that in 3 days. Those directional bets that you place always look great. So I don't know, it's always a kind of grass is greener thing. I think people who trade lower time frames will look at swing traders and think, shit, that looks great. I wish I could do that more. I don't think it's easier to be a scalper. They both require a huge amount of work. I actually think it's probably harder to be a scalper just because there's so much time commitment to it and so much time spent at the screen, and it drains from your everyday life and other hobbies and other interests and socializing and doing anything in the real world. It just drains everything from that. I remember times going for drinks with friends, going to the pub, and just being on my phone because that 1 5-minute setup that I've been waiting for all day could happen then, right? And I'm still looking for that. I'm still looking to take that money. So it's also difficult because you're constantly seeking out that if you miss the opportunity, then that's you blown your opportunity for that 24, 48 hours. Right? So it's super difficult. It takes control of your life in terms of searching for the setups. You'll find it very difficult to accomplish anything if you are focused intently on scalping. It's super difficult. You do anything. It's like the trading addiction thread I wrote. It's basically coming from a scalping perspective. You do anything. It's you know, your partner, your wife, whatever, like asks you to do a job. My one always used to be mowing the lawn. The amount of times that mower stopped so I could check the charts was insane. Probably took me triple the length of time it needed to mow the lawn, just because I had to keep on checking the charts halfway through. Yeah, one screen the size of time. Yeah, the screen is 55 inch, so yeah. So you wouldn't recommend scalping to someone attempting to build a business? No. So like I said, it's a really difficult thing to balance. Scalping looks great. Scalping feels like the sexy trading outlet. You can make money anytime. It also feels like the best route for people with lower balances, because it feels like that's the way you grow your account. You feel like you can't wait for the swing positions because you want to grow the account, so it feels like scalping is also... So I feel like a lot of people are kind of just pushed towards the scalping route. I've got the Odyssey Arc is my monitor, which is the 55-inch Odyssey Arc Ultra HD, 165 Hz. Yeah. It costs 3k? Yeah, it does. Yeah, so I've got it split as four screens at the moment. Do you ever close positions before going to bed because you can't manage them? No, but I used to. So under more of like a scalping or aggressive kind of trading approach, then yes, I would have. Wonderful reception and a very good stream. And I go take a shower. And then I'm probably going to try and play some Modern Warfare. Probably going to try and have an hour of Modern Warfare. And I'll be back midweek. So I hope everybody has a wonderful start to the week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, what's left of it. Thank you very much for the questions in the chat. As always tonight, it's been an absolute pleasure again to discuss with you. I think we're nearing pullback territory. I think the depth of the pullback is to be seen. I would like to see us hold up around the 1400s for ETH. I don't know what the relative is for BTC. I think ETH is far cleaner. And then hopefully leg up from there. I think a lot will be revealed on the pullback. We obviously know that we've got an interesting week in terms of news and data again. And so therefore we're going to be led by that. So I hope that everybody has a great start to the week. I'll be back midweek. We'll probably base it around FOMC. And we'll cover off probably on the back of that, so Thursday. And may the PNL be beautifully green for everybody. Thank you to all subs, follows, and everybody who's spent time here tonight. Enjoy and see you midweek.